Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Amber Monroe, and this is the Ties That Bind DFW podcast. And my goal is to help connect our community by sharing personal stories of inspiration and also highlighting local businesses and just getting to know our community. And today I have my very good friend, Nadia Zain Osazi, and she is going to be talking about motherhood and her art and her sewing and just ways that she kind of pours into herself and gets to open up those creative juices that is so important for us to do as moms. And I'm so excited to talk to her today and hear about what she's going on and just a little bit of her life. Welcome, Nadia.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Can you kind of tell me and my listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yes, so my name is Nadia. I have four kids. They're ages 17, almost 12, 10, and 7. And I'm a homeschooling mom. And I really love arts and sewing and all kinds of arts and crafts, but mainly those two things. And um, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's right. I forgot to mention that Nadia is also homeschooler like me. Um, so, kind of tell me a little bit about growing up and just kind of what sparked your interest in art and sewing and kind of what that journey looked like for you.
Yeah. So growing up, um, so my family was actually one of the kind of first like screen free. Like we were screen free from the beginning. I didn't get to watch
Mm.
like even before like internet. So we
Oh,
didn't
wow.
get to like watch movies or TV shows or anything. And we had like a couple of we had some Columbo that was on a tape. That was the only thing we could watch, but like it was 30 minutes per week that we could watch, so basically like half an episode. So really like
Oh,
we were
wow.
very kind of secluded from all the all the movies and kind of all that kind of stuff. So I think that kind of made me in a way it was good because I got to do a lot of stuff in my room, just all kinds of arts and stuff, but we can talk about the cons later. Not for
Yeah,
the because that will be another episode. But
I was about to say.
so but for the pros, I mean, I had a lot of stuff in my room. They really like poured into art. My both of my parents' families came from artistic families, and so that's kind of how we always like made everything ourselves. And my so sewing actually comes from my mom's side of the family, all the way from my great grandmother. She was a seamstress, and everybody from there on has been sewing or either professionally or just as a hobby. So that all just kind of comes from there.
Awesome. And your daughter, she does quite a bit of art and crochet, something like that as well.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really exciting to be able to kind of pass those skills on just because, not just because they're important to me, but how important it is to like kind of pass on things from your own like family heritage and generations. And I think that's really cool. So she has a sewing machine in her room too, so I like that. It makes my heart
Oh,
happy.
that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That is really amazing. And yeah, that's something that I think we should bring back as far as, a little less screens. Yeah, like you said, we need to talk about that. Anyways, but that's great that that kind of fostered that creativity for you. Was there a certain time in your life or a certain age where you felt like this is my gift? Because you are gifted. I've seen your work. Was there ever a point where you thought, like a sign, like this is it for me?
You know what? With art and painting. So actually, I have a younger sister, and she's actually very talented with painting, and she went into
Mm.
professional art and everything. So I think growing up along her, like her being so talented, I was never really quite as talented as her. So it sometimes it happens. So I don't think I ever really felt like I was good because she was good. My sister was good in painting. And I was
Oh.
always good in she says the same thing to me about like music. My parents made us do music too. So I was always better at that. With sewing, I think that was kind of for me, it was more like being able to make things by myself. That was like it was exciting to be able to, and that's what kind of makes me excited is to make something maybe cheaper than what I could get from the store. That's like like some of the main motivation for me when I'm
Right.
sewing. So that kind of how it started, like just creating stuff that out of like farm material. So that's really fun. Um, but yeah, back to the question. What age? I can't really say. I don't think I ever really felt that I was that good, sadly,
Oh.
maybe. Maybe like later on when I was an adult, I was like, oh, other people don't know how to do this, so I guess I'm good.
Right.
Yeah.
I love your modesty. It's cute.
No. Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Oh wow. Well, like it's funny because my mom, she's also very creative. And I remember so many times, the typical, we have that at home, or in her case, I can make that. And she did. She always did make things for us, and she would sew. What are some things that you've made for your children? You've shown me some things, but I'd love for you to talk about maybe some of the creative costumes you made and different things like that.
Yeah, I think I guess some of the first stuff that I started making for my kids, for our oldest son, Owen, I made him like a Spider-Man costume out of like pantyhose and like, I don't know, like a pajama or something.
Oh
And he
wow,
really
that's
loved it.
awesome.
He loved it so much.
Oh,
And then I also had made, he wanted to be a princess for Halloween, but I think at the very last minute he kind of changed his mind. He's like, "Oh, I'll just be a prince." And I'm like, "Eh, whatever you want."
oh,
So I made
oh,
a prince costume that was kind of frilly, so he would still get that
yeah,
kind of like twirly factor. So that was really
yeah.
fun. And that was
Oh,
back before I really had like a good sewing machine. And
mhm.
at that time, I had one when I was growing up, but at that time we didn't have one. And then later, I made my daughter really wanted to be um, um, Anna from Frozen. She wanted the Anna dress. Was it Anna
Oh,
or Elsa? I can't remember, but
Elsa's
it
the
was
blue.
Elsa's the blue, but the dress was like not the blue dress. It was like the one that she wore like maybe before in the movie. I can't remember, but she's like, I want that one, and I
Oh,
couldn't
okay,
find it anywhere. So obviously, I had to make it for her. So
right.
that's kind of how that started. Yeah, that kind of
Oh,
those kinds of things, and just like clothes. I like making clothes for them, and I I like making little things with like zippers and backpacks and those kinds of things.
nice. Yeah, and I've
Yeah.
seen a few of the things. Do you ever make clothes for yourself? Never thought to ask that.
Um, I have, but I just feel like for myself, I don't really put a lot of effort, and it's just kind of like I'll just make
Oh,
something quick, you know. I make like
yeah,
pajamas that I can just wear in the house, that kind of thing.
nice. And
Yeah.
I've seen, I think it was Christmas pajamas. Didn't you make for the kids one year
Hmm.
recently?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah,
did. I
those are
made some
really
for the kids'
nice.
pajamas. Yeah. Yeah, that one. Yeah,
Mhm.
Christmas pajamas I've made, and I always make them like little Christmas outfits for their Christmas photo. So that's kind
Oh,
of like a tradition that they all kind of hate, but I hopefully they kind of like it at the same time. But I'm like stressed out about it. I'm
yeah.
like, your picture, come on now, it's almost time to send them. You gotta get them done. So I have to
Oh.
like wear them and everything. Yeah.
I love that because I
Oh.
remember, I think we had some kind of Christmas party or get together, and everyone was all in their little matching pajamas. And then we strolled up, and I think I was in my hoodie, regular pajamas. Kids had on sweats, and I was just like, y'all are the goats. So
Yeah.
you did so good. I was like, all right,
Oh,
we're just gonna
thanks.
do our thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm always impressed at your
Oh,
creativity in your work.
thanks. Thank
Yeah, you're
you.
very welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I tend to have creative friends. It's just not everybody, but I do notice that we all kind of draw together in our own little
I
creative
think it's a
world.
special mind, I feel. Like
It
all of us
it really
creative people.
is.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
It's always a blast when we get together. Um, well, I guess my next question would be, how would you say you kind of find time to do your sewing? You're a busy mom, obviously, but are there like little tips or tricks or ways to kind of do these things alongside your regular mom duties?
Hmm. I guess the
Or
first
does it
thing
just
that I kind of,
happen?
yeah, I guess usually I kind of, well, the good thing is that I now have a space. I actually have a whole room just for my sewing stuff, which is really nice
Yeah.
because I know my husband always wanted to have an office, but he gave this room for me to have my sewing stuff. So that's really
Oh,
sweet. Um,
yes. Yes.
and because I also used to, before we lived in a bigger house, we had a smaller house and I had my sewing stuff in the garage. So and then
Mm,
before that, it was just a small little apartment, and the kids were little. And with sewing, there's a lot of needles and all kinds of stuff. So it was like
yeah.
hectic to kind of be able to make sure that everything is always put away because I'm not that kind, but I had to put everything away, unplug my
Right.
sewing machine, and you know, because yeah, the kids can get to it. So that was kind of that was tough. And now it's easier because I actually have a space. So I think the space is a really big factor into like being able to do stuff. Um, but yeah, sometimes I just have to come in here and just start doing doing like whatever I wanted to sew or make.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's also kind of like an escape because a lot of times if I'm stressed out, I'll just start thinking of a project to do, and it and I like do most of the stuff in my mind. So I'll think about the colors and the fabrics and like and the patterns, and it just takes a lot of time to like think about it. And I think it's nice because sometimes
Mhm.
I'll just start talking to my husband like, and this pattern is gonna have a pocket, and first I'll sew this part, and then I'll do this part, and and like, and
Oh,
then I realize I'm in this like creative bubble, and it just I don't have to think about anything else, so it's fun.
oh, yeah. That's so cool. That's kind of how it is when I get to go on with different creative projects of mine, and I'm just sort of like in my own world. And Brian's just like, cool, all right, well, support you. I don't know what you're talking about, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I don't think
That's great
anybody
that
else
you have
really
that
knows.
too.
Yeah, I don't think he
Right?
knows what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Sometimes he falls asleep, but
Oh
at
no.
least I'm just like
Hey,
there thinking about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It do be like that. Um, well, what, if any, advice would you give to a mom such as yourself who maybe is interested in starting to sew, or maybe any other like creative project? Like, what might you say to someone who's a little nervous about trying something new with creativity? How might you inspire them to hit go on that creative idea?
Hmm. Yeah, because a lot of people always say like, "Oh, I wish I could, sew, or I wish I could paint." And I think it's like you don't actually have to know how to do it. Like you just start doing
Mm,
it. Like you don't have to be good or anything. It just if you're enjoying it, um, I think I feel like in people's mind they somehow feel like it's like a whole thing, like a whole like somehow you have to take a class and buy this and buy that, but it's not really that. It's
mhm.
just you just kind of have to, or maybe I'm just saying it because I already have those things. It'd be kind of hard if I didn't have a sewing machine and I'm thinking about sewing something and I have to go buy a sewing machine, all that stuff. So maybe I'm talking from from
Mhm.
there. But if people are thinking about making art, I think maybe kind of, for example, one time my husband and I, we decided to have like just a paint night together. And I think it's
Oh,
just like organizing the time to do it. And then we actually did a little painting thing. So I think just
oh,
making time for it. Yeah, I think make time for the thing that you wanted to do. If it's like an hour, you can get to start doing something. Or even if you spend that time thinking about your art project, even that's important, I
yes.
think, can get you like away from all the other stuff you have to think about. Or what do you
Yeah,
think?
that's true. Yeah, no, that's great. I was gonna say that's half the battle sometimes is just kind of deciding like I think I might, allowing yourself to have those thoughts of something creative you want to finally put into motion. No, I think that's wonderful, and great advice.
Yeah,
um,
good.
real, yeah. Oh yes, girl. um, Real quick, I wanted to ask you a little bit. We're mainly talking about your sewing, but I've seen your artwork, and you're also a great painter. Um, and I don't know, I guess it was last year or the year before. My memory's a little foggy, but both of us, we had done a pop up shop in Mansfield. And so we brought some of our art to be on display. And I think both you and I hadn't really gotten out there with our art, at least not in a long time. And that was a great experience for me. And I was going to see if you wanted to talk a little bit about what that experience was like for you,
Yeah.
showing some of your art and how long it had been since you really had been into your painting.
Yeah. That was really exciting about having the art in
Mhm.
our it just felt so cool
Yes.
to have your art in like the wall and everything. People are looking at it. It was so cool. I think just like buying the frames and everything, just like, wow, like my art is so official. Like usually
Yes.
it's just like, you don't think like I have some in the bathroom, that's I don't
Right.
really think about it as like great, but I think I think some time ago, yeah, I really got more into painting. I always liked drawing, so I think that was kind of the first
Mm.
thing that I liked doing. And then I started with acrylics, and my sister was like telling me that I should really do watercolor because she just felt like I'd be
Mm.
good at watercolor. So I kind of started with that, but I didn't quite like the fact that watercolors weren't as like vibrant with the colors, even though I do
Mm.
like pastel and all those things, but somehow I really like vibrant colors. So she also then suggested for me to do gouache colors, which is kind of like a water-based color, kind of like watercolors, but they're a little bit more thicker, so they give a
Yeah.
little bit different texture, and I really like them. And that's actually kind of how I then mix a little bit of acrylic just because I didn't
Mhm.
know that you're not supposed to do that. I was like, whatever, I'm an artist, I can do whatever.
Yeah.
So like apparently you're not supposed to mix them because so yeah. But yeah, that was kind of fun. I started just experimenting with that. And I really like mixed media, so I kind of actually
Mm.
incorporated some fabrics and like lace and all kinds of stuff in my painting because I think it just felt cool and it just
Yeah.
felt nice. But I think painting is such a like once you have like an idea with your painting, it's like it's so nice to just kind of bring that out. Like it's like all the things that you're thinking about in a like if you're thinking about a moment or something where like the inspiration that you're painting from, you can literally put everything into this one piece, and it almost feels like you're writing a diary but in like a painting form, and this is like your memory of it, and it just feels so personal, and it feels so like powerful to just have it there. So that's kind of oh
Speaking my language.
yes, right? Because I know you've talked about that kind of stuff too, like. it just really is very, very a very personal form of art, painting.
It really is. Excuse me. And it's funny you mentioned that about it being like a diary and you're pouring yourself into this art, your thoughts and your feelings in that moment. And I have, not every painting is like that for me, but there are some paintings I can't part with because of what I was going through during that time that I was painting it. Like I'd come, paint here, paint there. And once I finished it, I was like, oh no, I can't sell that. Clearly.
Yeah.
Like
You
that's my
can't sell
soul
your
in there.
diary. Yeah, like
Yeah,
who, like what?
exactly. I now know I'm not crazy because yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. Um, yeah, no, that's on point. Um, well, yeah, I think I just think it's really important for anyone, moms obviously, but anyone really to, keep those passions alive and those hobbies despite what life is throwing at you. I always feel like sometimes that can be your lifeline, is your whatever your creative, outlet is. Um, is there any other thing you might want to say, or that anything you want to
Um,
plug that you've got coming up?
yeah, so I actually was thinking about because I said that I just started painting, but actually now I remember how I started painting. I took this class that was like an art therapy class. So they had like these different like themes for each week, and that kind of made me start like drawing whatever it was, drawing or painting or whatever. And I think I think it really like it was more like you paint something or you draw something and then you try to analyze it. So I think that the
Oh,
analysis after was so interesting for me because I feel like sometimes when you're like drawing or painting or just kind of like letting yourself pour out from like your hands or your like in an artistic form, I think it can tell you so much about yourself that you may have not like noticed before. Like I think one of the entries was something about I can't remember all the questions, but what I had ended up drawing is myself, but I didn't put any like eyes or like mouth or anything like facial features and
mm,
um and I just started, and I think I had done that several times, and I'm like, that's so weird. Like, why am I painting myself this way? Like, why don't I have a voice? Why can't I see anything in my painting? So it just kind of like it was more like kind of like a self-reflection of maybe I'm not allowing myself
yeah.
to like fully be who I
Mm.
am or something like that. And it was just very interesting to just kind of talk about them after every time that I had, produced
Oh,
a piece.
wow. Oh, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of self-reflection in that process for you, it
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I even remember like your art, I always feel like it's kind of very like it has like structure and like geometric, and I feel like why do you always have this? And it's got to be like something that's coming out from you that I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd know, I don't know,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm noticing from your art.
Well, you mentioned that before. And I'm glad you said that because I remember you talked about, because you're right. I do a lot of abstract. I'm not with the detailed like replication because I know we know people that are very good at that, making something look so realistic. So I don't really do much of that because that's not where my skill set is. And I do a lot of um, geometric, but either you said, I think you said it, or I said it, but it was like trying to make sense because I am ADHD. So trying to like make sense of my mind and like put something structured and very precise. It's still creative, but it's kind of like trying to make sense of my world or my emotions or my mind or something. Because yeah, I do a lot of very hard geometric stuff, and I was like, what? Maybe so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
You're
it's
right.
opposite of like your personality. Like you wouldn't think, but then it's like that makes sense. Like it's one thing that you can control somehow. Like it's just my thing.
Yeah. And when you told me, it never occurred to me that my art or whatever doesn't necessarily match my personality. And that's not even a negative or bad thing, but I'm like,
No.
oh, wow.
I
Then
mean, it
I'm
is your
like,
personality. It's there, but like I hadn't really seen
well, yeah,
it.
right. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's so great. And it's very interesting. When you told me that, I was like, that's fascinating. Um, there's a lot of introspection that can happen with art, and it's so important. It's so important. But yeah, no, that's wonderful. And I think I might be out of questions, which has it ever happened? No. But again, yeah, I want to thank you for coming on and talking with us, me and my listeners. And I'm just, obviously grateful for you as a friend. And I love all of your art and your sewing. And I know there's more to come with that. And, I'll see you IRL, as they say in real
Yes,
life.
for sure.
um, but yeah, well, thank you very much. And everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Ties That Bind DFW. We will see you next time, and God bless.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.